following your first. Hands media. Do we have any questions in English? If not, we'll take them in French. Reed Wilkins, 630 Ched.
Thanks, Sean. Hi, Alex. Alex, obviously the team's going pretty well here, and you were able to recover for those 2 straight losses. Tell me now just about refocusing here for another tough batch of games. Who sort of has, why have you guys been so good at that throughout most of this season?
Yeah, I think the schedule this year, on most nights you're playing the same team either twice in a row or this trip is 3 games. So we've been going well lately. This is obviously a crucial part of the season right now, and be a good challenge for us.
Kyler Yamamoto missed the last couple of games. I don't know if he's in tonight, but tell me about what you've seen from him, a younger player who can bring a lot of energy, and what do you miss when he's not there?
He's been a key part of our top 6. His tenacity, the way he plays, creating second and third opportunities. When he plays with Leon, they're a good match together. They play well together. So, looks like he's feeling better here the last couple of days, and we miss him in the lineup. But I think it's been good to see the depth, having some guys playing up or sharing some of his minutes shows the quality of our team and how we've been able to have more success with our depth players this year.
Bob Stauffer, 630 Ched.
Morning, Alex. Just a quick question for you. As a broadcaster, going into that building is as good as it is in the league. I'm wondering how different it was the last time you were there when there's no fans. And, did it even seem like you were playing in the same building? Because I know the team's had a lot of success there over the last several years.
Yeah, you mean as a Montreal here, Bob?
Yeah, coming in Montreal.
Yeah.
How different was it without the fans? And does it take away from one of the best experiences, I think most of the players would suggest, in the entire league?
Correct. I think, personally, obviously, I'm from around here, so this is always a special place to play. The atmosphere is it's probably a top 3 building in the league. Obviously, I think not having mom and dad or family, friends to games is a little bit different, and but that's kind of what we've been dealing with here the last year or so. But I still think it's special coming here. I just think the drive over and the building, the history here, is still a special place to play.
And a second question, just on the power play, how does your role change, if any? Now you've got Tyson back there as a right shot, as opposed to last season when Oscar, was sort of quarterbacking it from as a point guard with the left shot.
I think a lot of the looks are the same. I would say maybe the one difference is he shoots a bit more than Clef. So I think before it was kind of reading the play and trying to be a play ahead and see where the play was going. I think with Tice on the blue line, it's also my job to be there for him and provide some good screens or be able to read how he's playing. So he's been key for us. He's done a great job. I would say the biggest difference is he may shoot the puck a little bit more than Clef did.
Rob Kichkowski, Post Media.
Alex, just in a schedule like this, teams get to control their own destiny. You don't have to worry too much about the out of town scoreboard because the team that you're chasing or that are chasing you get them head to head. As a player, do you enjoy that format?
I think, we as a team, we got off to a little bit of a rocky start, and then, the last, 25 games or so, we've been playing much better. I guess it's nice that you're playing well, you're winning games. I think you're in control of your position in the standings and where you finish.
You were talking about team depth a bit earlier. With you're playing 4 and 6. Just the importance of a coach being able to roll 4 lines, and is team depth even more valuable now in the way the schedule is set up?
Yeah, I think more so than ever. I think that. Also, I think injury-wise, we've had a few guys down with a few things, and we have guys step in and playing the way guys are capable of playing, and I think that adds to the team. It doesn't feel like there's something missing. Obviously a guy like Yamo, he's a key part of our team, and no one's going to replace him. But you got a few guys coming in and playing well, so that's good for confidence of our group.
Jim Matheson, Post Media.
Alex, you're not an old player by any stretch because you're only 30, and players like Pavelski and Thornton are talking all the time about the schedule this year and how they love it because you just play a game, rest, play a game, rest, play a game, rest. Are you the same?
Yeah, I would say what's been nice this year is I've had a few stretches where I think physically, mentally, I felt good, and that carries on for a couple games, and there's not so much in between. And then some of the games that maybe you don't feel as good, you're playing again in the next night or 2 nights after. So it's nice. It gets a chance to refresh and gives you an opportunity to change something maybe in your routine. So I'd say it's been, I thought the schedule was going to be heavy and maybe harder on the body. I still think that. I believe though that there's an opportunity for success for players that have been in the league maybe for a longer time.
And when you were growing up in Montreal, did you have any posters of players on your bedroom wall?
Not sure if I had a few posters or not. I think, I think big fan of Koivu or Vincent D'Anfous for some reason.
Super, thank you.
Final question in English, then we'll take a few in French. Michael Tracos, Post Media.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, since that 3-game series against Toronto where you guys were humbled, this Oilers team is 7-2-0. I'm just wondering, was that sort of a wake-up call in the season for you guys? And what are you guys doing differently since playing Toronto, what you're going to see at the end of this week after playing Montreal for a 3-game stretch?
I'm not sure if it was a wake-up call or just realizing that, our play as 5 wasn't as good as it needed. I think we had been going on a good stretch before that. We lost a few. Obviously, we would like to have some of those games back, but we've bounced back as a team, and I think this is key for our group. I've been here for 3 years, and you can see our group maturing. We've lost a few times this year, at Toronto, and then we lost 2, and now we've been going on a good stretch again. So it's good to see our group bounce back and finding ways to get success after a few hard matches, maybe.
We'll take 3 questions in French. Patrick Henry, Radio-Canada.
Alex, dans une saison normale, on part pour un voyage de 5 matchs sur la route. On dit on ramasse 5 points, on revient à la maison, on est content, on a ramassé 50% des points. Est-ce que c'est la même chose avec ce voyage-là? Est-ce que c'est comme ça que tu le vois ou à 5 points, on ne serait pas vraiment content?
Je pense qu'on va un match à la fois, concentré sur le match de ce soir. Je pense que c'est le premier match sur la route sur une série de 5, donc c'est important d'avoir une bonne performance.
Tu vas passer une semaine complète à Montréal sans vraiment voir personne. Est-ce que tu as besoin d'oublier que c'est Montréal puis de te dire que c'est juste une autre ville que tu visites et que c'est pas Montréal?
Oui, c'est sûr que le scénario est évidemment un petit peu différent cette année. Mais je crois que c'est la même chose un peu partout. Évidemment, n'a pas accès aux les restaurants ou sortir de l'hôtel. Donc, c'est plate un petit peu, mais c'est le scénario qui nous est donné.
Simon-Olivier Laurent, sur place.
Salut Alex. Évidemment, vous n'êtes pas reconnu comme une équipe défensive. Vous êtes devant tout une équipe construite sur l'attaque, mais néanmoins, vous accordez moins de buts que par les années passées. Est-ce que c'est un élément justement sur lequel vous avez beaucoup mis l'accent depuis le début de la saison? Parle-moi de cet aspect-là du jeu.
Oui, je pense que évidemment, à l'attaque, on a quelques bons joueurs qui sont capables de faire la différence à tous les soirs. C'est sûr que on a réalisé l'année passée que si on était capable de limiter certains buts à certains matchs, ça pouvait nous aider sur le long terme. Donc, je dirais les petits aspects de nos matchs se sont vraiment améliorés, notre défensive de zone. Donc, je pense que c'est là-dessus là, qu'on a focus sur notre préparation là, avant les matchs.
Peux-tu me parler de l'impact d'un gars comme Darnell Nurse qui joue 25 minutes par match et vraiment comme rendu votre two-way de confiance, vraiment qui a émergé cette saison, peut-être plus encore que les années passées?
Oui, vraiment pris un gros step forward cette année. Darnell, beaucoup de minutes. Il joue contre la première ou la deuxième ligne à tous les matchs. Avantages numériques, désavantages numériques. C'est un gars qui a leadership dans la chambre. Vraiment, là, pris un gros step cette année, puis ça paraît dans notre groupe.
Final question, Marc-André Perreault, TVA.
Oui, salut Alex, est-ce que tu m'entends bien?
Oui.
Oui, écoute, je voulais juste te parler de Connor McDavid. Ça fait 3 ans que tu es avec les Oilers. Des fois, on oublie qu'il a juste 24 ans. Il s'enligne pour une saison, ça sera un pace de quasiment 150 points. Est-ce que tu as vu une progression dans son jeu dans les 3 dernières années? Si oui, laquelle? Ou il est juste trop dominant pour pouvoir progresser?
Je dirais la plus grande chose là, de Connor, c'est oui, ses habiletés techniques sont off the chart, son coup de patin, son lancer, ses mains. Je te dirais la plus grosse. Qu'est-ce que moi, il me fascine beaucoup, c'est son désir de vouloir s'améliorer. Pour un gars qui a autant de succès dans ses premières années, il cherche toujours de travailler quelque chose dans sa game. Puis, je pense que c'est quelque chose que tu vois dans notre groupe. Là, c'est contagieux. C'est quand tu as un gars comme ça qui est probablement le meilleur joueur au monde actuellement, qui essaie de travailler sur tous les aspects de son match, trouver des petits défauts que pour lui, il veut améliorer, ça fait une différence. Puis c'est vraiment le fait de pouvoir côtoyer à tous les jours, là, je me considère chanceux.
Quel genre de choses, de petits détails qu'un gars de même peut améliorer? Parce que je t'écoute puis je me dis, on dirait qu'il y a tellement rien amélioré, mais y a-t-il des choses concrètes que tu vois qui disent, OK, mettons, je sais pas, moi, il travaille sur son puck handling, son jeu défensif. C'est quoi que tu vois concrètement des fois?
Je peux pas laisser savoir les choses qui travaillent.
Thank you. This concludes Alex Chason's media availability. Hand function. Rob Tuchkowski, Post Media.
Jujar, I think this is your first time talking since coming back. Just how are you feeling after the injury and everything, and where are you at?
Yeah, I feel good. Last game I felt good out there, and I was able to skate a couple times through those 4 days. I think I wasn't playing, so I don't feel like I missed a beat. So confidence and the style of game I think is still there for sure.
Was it just standard protocol that you had to go through, or were there some things that needed to clear up before you returned to the ice?
Yeah, it was a standard protocol. I think when something like that happens, I think the doctors and the trainers they're cautious about that. It's not only it's not about them at that point. It's more about my safety, and I had to pass a few tests, and I did that.
Mark Spector, Sportsnet.
Jujar, we've all watched guys fighting in hockey for years and years and years, and it's pretty easy to sit on this end of the TV and watch it. It's not a little different when you're on your end of the TV. That was an example of what can happen and seldom happens in fights. You've been in lots of fights before. Is it as dangerous as it looks?
I think there might be times it is. I think for myself, it looked a lot worse than I felt it was, and but like I said, there's that protocol and there's precaution that the league has to take and the team has to take for my safety, and like you said, that's something that can happen, and it's part of the game.
It's a part of the game that's coming out of the game, right? There's less and less fighting for sure. Right. Will it change you? Will you, you're not a guy that fights all the time, but you fight when you have to. Will it change your game at all? What happened?
I don't think so. I think that's just the style of game I play. It's a hard game, and there's going to be times where the other team doesn't necessarily like what I do, and at the end of the day, everybody's trying to be successful at this game and stay in the lineup, and that's what I feel like I bring to the table. And it's not necessarily me fighting every game, but it's when I have to stand up for myself or for other teammates. I definitely won't change that.
Jim Matheson, Post Media.
I have to ask you, Jujar, the hit along the boards on Shillington, it didn't look that bad. In fact, it looked worse the first time you saw it, but he was bending over and you hit him with your shoulder. Did you think instantly, I'm going to have to fight somebody after this?
No, I didn't. I didn't necessarily think that was a dirty hit. I try to let up there and, definitely put my arms down and take everything out of play, but it was right in front of their bench, and that rivalry's there, and when I got asked, I definitely wasn't surprised, but at the same time I wasn't really expecting it. But it's like I said, it's part of the game. It's something, if that happened to one of our guys, I think I would be in the same position.
And your penalty killing, why is your penalty killing so good yourself?
I think it's having that plan in place, and lately I've been killing with Nuge and just the chemistry we have. I think both of us, we take pride in our kill, and I think that goes as a group. That's one thing that we think it's just as important as scoring goals, and for myself, it's something that that's a role that I've wanted to take on, and that I've really put a lot of effort and confidence in.
Jack Michael, 630 Chad.
Just following up on the hit on Shillington, Jujar, is that a tough play when you're just going to finish your check and the guy doesn't straighten up? I mean, when you play the kind of game you do, is it tough to get out of the way of those sort of hits if a guy is in a prone position?
I think sometimes it definitely is. The game's so fast, and those hits like that and stuff like that happens quite often. And, I definitely, my intent going into every game, I never want to be a dirty player that hurts guys or, that's going for guys' heads, because obviously that's a delicate part of the body, and nobody wants to face those challenges of taking a headshot. So I think it is tough just because the game's so fast, but at the same time it's part of the game. It happens to everybody.
And then the other thing I had for you was just, you've scored some big goals against Montreal. Purely a coincidence? I'm always curious when I see guys' numbers against a certain opponent spike. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works out. I think everybody in the league does plays well against certain teams, and they end up getting points off those. I'm not sure why. Even looking at this team now, it's such a different team from 2-3 years ago, and like I said, I don't know why, but it's one of those teams I do enjoy playing. They have a lot of history, and just an all-Canadian battle is definitely a lot of fun.
Final two questions. Simone Olivier Larange, the press.
Hey, Jujar. It's obvious that your team is mostly offensive and that you play in a division where every team scores a lot of goals, but still your team gives fewer goals than last year's. How do you explain this? Do you feel that defensive play has been changed between this year and last year? What has changed actually?
Definitely, I think a lot of it's maturity as a group. You see those teams that go along in playoffs and make it far. They usually during the regular season have the least goals against, and it's one thing that builds confidence as well, giving up less goals, and that's been a plan of ours since Tip's been here and even before that. And like I said, I think it's just maturity of a group coming together and really playing the right way.
What has been in this process? What has been the impact of a guy like Darnell Nurse, who seemed to emerge like really the huge quarterback you had this year?
He definitely, there was a big responsibility coming in, especially with Clefbaum out, and Darnell took it with open arms, and he's done a tremendous job back there. He's producing offensively, and he's a beast in the defensive zone. So we all trust them back there, and I think his confidence just working through off seasons and game by game, I think it's really showing out there, and he plays that way game in and game out.
Final question, Michael Tracos, Post Media.
Yeah, hi. I'm just curious. You guys have a chance to take sole possession of first place tonight, and a few weeks ago when this team was humbled against the Toronto Maple Leafs, it might have looked like Edmonton was going to go maybe the other way in the standings. In previous years, it might have had that effect. What changed this year, and what's different about this team, which is 7-2-0 now since playing Toronto?
Yeah, like I previously said, it's maturity of a group, and we know that there's teams or all teams go through a little drought throughout the season, but it's the teams that bounce back as quick as possible. And I thought we did a great job after that Toronto series, and we were never down and out. That was definitely a tough series for us, but we took it as a learning experience. We're gonna get another chance at them, and just playing game by game. We're not worried about where we are in the standings. We're just kind of taking it, moment by moment out there and trying to play the right way and building off wins.
Thank you. This concludes Jujar Khaira's media availability. please use the raise hand function. Brian Rashog, TSN.
Hey, Dave. I just wanted to ask a little bit more about McDavid's game and what you've seen so far this year. I think, maybe what's impressive is the offensive totals that he's pushing. He's kind of putting himself into even a different hemisphere than he was before, but he's not giving up anything at the other end. Can you just discuss how tough that is to do, to increase your numbers offensively without cheating it at the other end?
Well, I think they go hand in hand because you defend well, and then especially a guy like him, he gets a lot of stuff off transition because he gets checked so hard in the neutral zone. So if he checks well on his own end, that's gives him opportunities to go the other way. So his defensive game has been outstanding all year. He's got a real conscience to make sure he's doing things right in the D zone, supporting our defensemen. I mean, little things that have just elevated his game, not the points wise, but just his whole all-round game has been really, really strong since the start of the year. Early in the year, I think he was getting some minuses that he didn't deserve, just unlucky ones. But lately, his plus minus has just rocketed up, and he's just playing real solid two-way game, and he's got the offensive capabilities to also, as everybody sees, has an impact on the game.
He's he's pushing numbers into that kind of Lemieux late 90s territory in terms of points per game. Like, we haven't seen that in a long time. How impressive is that, just given how different the game was then compared to now? Like, to push those numbers in the game as it is now?
Well, the numbers speak for themselves, but if you ask Connor, he's the only number he's worried about is the number of wins we get right now, and that's the greatest thing about him. And his play has been outstanding, and he's racking up numbers. But the most important number to him is getting our team in a winning, to where we can win every night. And he takes a great responsibility in doing his part, and hence you see the numbers he's getting to. And I was fortunate enough to play with Mario in the early 90s there, 93, 94, and that's one of the things Mario used to do. He took the responsibility of being a top player, and he made sure he was that player every night, and I see the same thing in Connor.
Bob Stalker, 630 Ched.
Dave, we think, because we're not there, that it appears that Leon might be with Connor to start. I know it's literally shift by shift. Puljujärvi as well. Can you maybe comment on what you saw in the final period with those guys, and sort of what that option brings you and how that allows you to maybe change? I think Connor and Leon right now combined, their goal share is at even strength is 20 goals, 4 and 2 against. So just a thought on that.
Well, it gives us different looks. There's different times with matchups, or depending on momentum swings in a game, there's just different times you can switch it up. And part of it is I really liked Nugent Hopkins and Archibald and Cahoon had a really good third period. We really played with a lot of energy. We're a good line for us. So we'll start tonight and see how it goes. But they're easy switches to make with just Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins flipping places. So gives it a different look, but we can change momentum in a game whichever direction we want to go.
And are we closing in on potentially seeing Yamamoto and Turris again at some stage here, maybe on the trip?
Yeah, both of them are. Turris is getting back up to speed here. He's had 3 or 4 good practices now after missing a whole week, not being able to skate for a whole week, and then. Yamo is day to day. He's skating today, and we'll see where it is tomorrow with him.
Simone Olivier Laurent, La Presse.
Hey, Dave, it's obvious that you have a huge offensive machine in your hands, but still you managed to give fewer goals than last year, even if you play in a division where everyone scored a ton of goals. How do you explain this, and what kind of changes have you made to your defensive system?
Well, we knew we had to be a better defending team, better 5-on-5 team, and that was one of our goals from the start of the year. I think we continue to improve on the defensive side. There's still improvement we can make. we have our offensive output has been better this year, 5-on-5. So, so far we've been a little better. There's more room to grow.
Thanks.
Michael Tracos, Post Media.
Hey, Dave, I'm just saying, or wondering what it says about your team where you guys can get humbled against Toronto for 3 straight games and come back and bounce back with a 7-2-0 record since then.
Well, we just take it game by game. You can go back to those Toronto games. There's things you learn about your team. There's different ways games go, and every team has a little dip. We had a dip against Toronto, and we come back and played well. And it's no different than a lot of teams in the league.
Mark Spector, Sportsnet.
Hey, Dave, Adam Larson, every good team we've ever seen almost has that hard rock guy that's out there like Rob Scuderi or Brooks Orpik or Matt Green or someone like that. Has he sort of become that defensive conscience, that hard to score against guy for your team?
He's been excellent. He plays hard minutes and hard situations, and we talk about being a better defending team. He's at the forefront of that. He's had an excellent year, just playing at a level that really solidifies that defending defenseman role, and both shutdown and penalty kill. And he's actually chipped in some goals and some points this year that he's ahead of where he was last year. So he's had a very good year. He's one of our real strong leaders of our team, and one of the things to be a good leader, you have to be able to back it up on the ice, and that's what he's doing.
So that's what I think I'm getting at is, do you need that? Does a successful team need that guy to show the way? Like he's, a guy that the younger guys look at and go, man, look how hard he plays. Does he do that for you?
No, he certainly does. Especially, we've had him with a number of young partners here, and he's each one of those guys. You look at that, and he's improved their game, and that's what you see a good veteran do. He not only does he play his own game, but his leadership he shows with our young players coming on has been excellent also. So he's, we talked about it yesterday. He's part of our leadership core, and really been really solid all the way through, on and off the ice. Helping young players and making sure his game's in order to give ourselves the best chance to win.
Final question, Kevin McGran, Toronto Star.
Coach, you referenced plus minus there, talking about Connor McDavid a little while ago. Plus minus is a stat that really, I guess the analytics crowd don't use it to analyze players, but players seem to use it as their own motivation. Like nobody wants to be minus. Is that how you use it? Is that how it works in the room?
I think it's a brutal stat. I think it's awful. But there's times when it swings one way or another, and that's why I said it was a bad stat when he wasn't getting pluses, and it's still not a great stat when he gives. We have way more information than the regular plus minus, but it just goes. My point with him was he was a better defending player than his so-called plus minus was showing early on, and he's starting to get rewarded for it. So I'm in agreement. I'm not a plus minus guy at all. There's sometimes when it jumps out at you because it can become a drastic number one way, or not a drastic, but it could really show high levels one way or the other that pique your interest, but for the most part it's not a great stat.
But I'm just wondering about players, because they don't like a minus beside their name. Do they use it as a tool?
Players don't like any stats that go against them, and they like the ones that they favor them. So that's just, I'm saying that from being an old player, that there's times when you look at stats and they get talked about and players care about them, but ultimately we have our own internal stats that speak a lot more to what a player's doing than that plus minus stat. That plus minus stat we had, it's such a, you can step on the ice on a change and get a plus or a minus and have nothing to do with the play whatsoever. So I don't know how you'd say that would be a good stat.
One more question, Terry Jones, Post Media.
Well, back to Leon and Connor. For the longer stretches here, it's been they're together, and then they're apart, has it evolved now to a point where it's sort of a combination that's going to be go back and forth period to period almost as part of who the Oilers are?
We can use it. You can use it as a alternative. There's, games go different ways. There's times when you have to certain matchups you want. There's times when you want to load it up. I mean, it's about trying to maximize each player's ability and put them in positions where you can get the most out of them. And sometimes sometimes Draisaitl there's certain matchups that I look for that I need him at center, and then there's other times when you put the two of them together and they can get up and going. So ultimately it's about trying to find ways to win, and we have some different looks that we can try to accomplish that.
And as we get down to the last month here in the schedule, do you find yourself and the team looking at, like, for example, Winnipeg is saying, hey, this looks like our first round playoff opponent. And now, if you win tonight, you'd be saying Montreal would be your first. Did you get that far ahead in the thought process?
It's too close. It's going to go back and forth. You got really 6 teams that are still vying for spots, so it's too close. The funny thing is you're getting to know every team so well because you're playing them so many times this year. So we haven't got to the point where we're saying this, maybe play this team, maybe play that team. All we're worried about is making sure we're in the playoffs and taking care of ourselves. And then as we get down closer here, you'll start looking at those things.
Thank you. This concludes Dave Tippett's media availability.